Ho, ho, hold your horses. Should you skip the car auctions during Christmas week, or will you jingle your way right into a no sale if you do? We are going to talk about auctioning a car during the Christmas holiday week. Is that a good idea? Is that a terrible idea? Let's get into it. This is Bid Nerds. We've got new predictions. The bidding starts now. Bid Nerds is your YouTube car game show. All right, jingle bells. How is everyone tonight on a Sunday live? This is Bid Nerds. We're doing it. My name is John Polnick. I'm here in the Container Park in downtown Las Vegas, along with my partner Michael Deeb in San Francisco. He's right over there. What's up, Michael Deeb? How you doing?
What's up, dude? Merry Christmas, JP. Yeah, so this is it. What do we think? Does it look just like before? I'm in a totally different part of the house. I'm facing a different direction. All my wires are crossed. I kind of half expect my phone to just blow up in my face tonight. So, JP, thank you for your patience and bearing with me as I work out the bugs of Deeb's new studio.
That is right. All right. People are asking for inside baseball information. Randy B's like, JP, did you ask AI to draw you an angry Santa? It's like, yes, that's exactly what I did. Our big topic tonight is and I was like screwing around with Grok. I'm like, oh, hey, here we go. I love messing with that kind of stuff. It's funny though, too, because I kept trying to ask it like, give me a picture of an angry Santa holding a sign that says no auctions. And it kept giving me really good ones, but he was always chopped. The top of his head was chopped off. I asked like 10 times. It's like, no, don't chop off his head. And the Grok is smart, but not that smart. Sup, nerds. All right, let's get this going here. Christmas season is upon us. There's still a lot of auction activity going on, but some of the auction houses are having auctions on New Year's Eve. BAT is auctioning cars right up until the afternoon, Christmas Eve. It doesn't look like PCAR Market or Doug DeMiro on Cars and Bids is doing that. Looks like Doug DeMiro wasn't back at it till the day after Christmas. Same thing with PCAR Market. So BAT is saying, screw it, who cares? Cars got to sell. We got hundreds of cars to move here. Let's do it.
Right.
Is that a good idea? Would you sell your car on Christmas Eve on BAT? I don't know about you, but I don't know if I would. Shout out to the Nerd Herd. What's up, everybody? Thank you guys for hanging out with us on a Sunday night. All right, we made some predictions on the last episode, so let's do the results of those real quick, and then we can go look at the listings that are coming up. Some of them on Christmas Eve, some of them on or around Christmas, and we can kind of talk about the main subject. But let's go over the results of the auctions from the last episode real quick first. What's the first car on the list?
All right. JP, for the record, I wouldn't even try to sell a sleigh on Christmas. There's no way. John, we are going to circle right back to our 2023 Rimac Nevera Time Attack car that was listed on Sotheby's Motorsport by absolute friend of the show and Bid Nerd Herd not founding, but certainly honorary member Zach Miller. This was one of Zach's better clients that I'm aware of, and Zach's first as we say, $1 million listing. Because the Neveras are big money items. I think we guesstimated that this was probably somewhere in the $2.2 to $2.5 million range when the car was new. Our car on Sotheby's Motorsport showing 1,800 miles. The seller, Zach's client, is Graham Rahal Performance. The car is in Zionsville, Indiana. And it'll be a dealer listing. But low miles, very rare car, unbelievable performance. I think we were guesstimating like 1,200 horsepower or 2,000 horsepower and like 1,700 pound-foot of torque. This thing, despite not making any internal combustion noise, is an absolute rocket ship. JP, with all that in mind and very little comps to go on, there was no data on Classic.com, and that's saying something. And we really couldn't even find anything on BAT or Haggerty to give us any idea of what these cars should bring in the secondary market. John, I thought our car had a chance to hit $2 million. You took the under at $1.8 million. And then our car hammered after running for nearly 2 weeks for $1,825,000, where it sold on 32 bids. So JP, I know 25 grand sounds like a lot of money, but when you're talking about $2 million, that's pretty damn close to a Yahtzee. Very well done by you. You basically got that one correct. Did anybody in the herd get a Yahtzee? I know Zach reached out to me to thank us for covering the car, but I don't remember Zach telling me if he was happy with the result. I know Zach is in the herd tonight. Zach, will you chime in now? Can I call you out and let us know, were you and your client basically satisfied and happy with that result? Sounds like it did pretty well, but again, I don't know what we were comparing it to, and we certainly, most of the time when we cover these, JP, we have no idea what the seller's expectations are unless it fails to sell on PCAR market. But having Zach in the herd, Zach, give us a thumbs up if everybody was thrilled with that. Like, is everybody happy in the Miller household because you just got your commission on a $2 million car? What's up, buddy? So JP, what do you think of that result? You basically nailed it. Where you at?
Yeah, it does look like there were 2 Yahtzees on the last episode. Looks like Brian and Kevin went high. So they both bid at 1.8, and so they get Yahtzees there. On the last, if you guys want to go and see more information about these cars, we never talk about this on the show, but the last episode when we introduce these cars, we always go into a little bit more depth on the listings when we're introducing the listing. So if you want to hear more about what we had to say about the Rimac and all the cars that we made predictions on the last episode, you can go to our channel and see, look for this thumbnail, Scammed by Truckers. We talked about how so many people are getting scammed by shipping companies these days. And so you have to really protect yourself. And we talked a little bit about that. But yeah, as far as the results of the Rimac, congrats to Zach. It looked like on the socials, it looked like he was saying, it seemed like he was pretty happy with it, everything he was posting on the gram and stuff. Here's Zach. He's actually watching today. Hey, Zach. Everyone was happy with the end of this one, and SOMO now has a new record sale price in the process. Yeah, there you go. Congrats, man. That's really awesome.
The hammer is strong with this one. Wow, way to go, Zach Miller, the new high watermark seller at Sotheby's. I mean, man, put that on your resume. Hell yeah. Zach said the seller was happy with the result with an exclamation point and said reserve was more than met, which leads me to believe they did better than they were expecting. So congratulations to Zach. Congratulations to Graham Rahal, who I've had the good fortune of meeting more than a couple of times. He is a super nice, I call him a kid, but he's a grown ass man now, and he's doing big business. But Graham's actually a really cool guy and excellent taste in cars. So well done on everybody with that.
Excellent. All right, let's move on. And what was the next car on the list, Michael D?
JP, I think you and I both were fawning over this car. I think we both fell in love with this car while we were looking at it. We are going to check in on the 1976 Datsun 280Z with a 4-speed manual that was run as an alumni listing on Bring a Trailer out of Statesville, North Carolina. This car was sold back in November of 2020, and the person who bought it went about kind of refurbishing the car and bringing it back to its original roots. The most obvious thing is putting the original wheels back in the car, but it looks like they did a whole paint correction, and the interior looks fantastic. And John, it's apparently documented this car only has 40,000 original miles. So now the car, we are looking at 260 and 280Zs as collector cars, where 240s kind of, rose from the ashes about 10 years ago. And we all saw that one, bring $300,000 out of the Franklin Mint in a very similar color to this, by the way. That 240 that brought $300,000 really kind of set the world on fire for Z cars. So we wondered, JP, how this car would fare. It looked really good. It's got probably the best performance of the 3 generations of the Z. And I don't know, I just think they did a really nice job with the presentation as well. John, with all that in mind, I really thought that, in the spring or summer, this could be a $55,000 to $60,000 car. But I thought this close to Christmas at the end of the year, that $48,000 would be in play. You took the under at just $42,000. And according to classic.com, the average selling price of just a regular 280Z, one that probably isn't as nice as this, is just $24,400. John, our car hammered for $35,280, where it's sold on 37 bids. So you were closer, but still over by a little bit. JP, I look at that result. My first words to you is that car is super well bought for $35,000. Are you kidding me? What else could you possibly get in that price range that would look this nice, garner the kind of attention that a car like this would get, and just make you happy. I mean, a reliable car. I would say these things are basically bulletproof. They have a cult following. That is an unbelievable value in my part, and I feel on my thought. And I think for the buyer here, Christmas came early because they didn't have to pay 40 grand or more. Maybe they're in it 40 by the time they pay fees to BAT and do the shipping and all that stuff. But still, even with that, even if they're at $39,000, $40,000 all in on the ground in their driveway, well bought. Where are you at, JP? What do you think of that result?
Yeah, I mean, I think someone was on Santa's nice list. They got a good deal on this car, and I think this is going to be a nice car to look at for appreciation into the future. I don't think this car is gonna. I don't think this car is gonna blow up as far as value, but I think these are always going to be one of those cars that are a little bit unappreciated. The 240 is the one that gets all the love, but the 260 and 280 are always going to be kind of the ugly stepchilds. And I, like look, and the thing is, Z cars in general, Datsuns and Nissans, I really love the 300 ZX. Like the that started out in 84 and went to, what was it, 89 before the ones in the 90s. Those are worthless. And it just takes forever for some reason for Datsun to catch up. We did talk about on the last episode that Honda appears to be in the process of acquiring Nissan, and that bodes well for Nissan. Because Nissan, we talk about that a lot too. So a lot of times, a few weeks ago, everyone couldn't shut up about the whole Jaguar thing, ourselves included, right? Jaguar just came out with that horrible ad campaign that everyone was ishing on all over the internet. The next question was, well, what's that going to do to the value of the old Jags? And I think it straight up has affected the value of used Jags. No one wants a used Jaguar anymore. Sure, there's probably still people that want, something like the super classic ones. But a Jaguar that's only a few years old, what's the Jaguar? The F types, right? Those are really cool little sports cars that are a good value, but I think the value, who's shopping for that anymore after these new campaigns? They totally screwed themselves. And I think Nissan is very similar. I mean, Nissan didn't ruin their reputation with one ad campaign. They did it by making terrible cars for 15, 20 years now. I mean, they haven't made anything good since the 300ZX of, call it, the early 90s era. They've just, everything they come out with just gets worse and worse and worse. And I think that just makes the value of something like this, it just really suppresses the potential value or appreciation of these old Datsuns. But I sure love them, and maybe that's a good thing if you are, it's hard to find a classic car that isn't ridiculously overpriced. So maybe this is a good thing that the Z cars are unrealized, and this is a car that you can still get into as kind of a first time or classic car. What do you guys think out there in the nerd herd of the Z car? Was that well bought? Do you think the value of this car is going to go up significantly? Let us know in the comments, and let's move on. We've got another car that we talked about in the last episode. What was that, Deep?
All right, JP. We also looked at a 2008 BMW Z4 M Coupe showing 36,000 miles. This was an alumni listing on Bring a Trailer out of Encinitas, California. The car was sold on Bring a Trailer back in April of 2021, and at that time, this car brought $37,000, and it was showing just 32,000 miles. So the car comes back to market. It looks nice. JP, these are really underappreciated performance cars. You rave about them. I love the way they look. And I know what was under the hood. I've never really driven one of these cars in anger. I've never been let loose, but I imagine I would love this thing. And this one car just caught my eye. I like the space gray, exterior paint job. And I like that it's an all black aluminum interior, and these are manual rear wheel drive. What more could you ask for? JP, I thought this car would do very well. I thought $36,000 was in play. You took the under at just $34,000. And again, Christmas came early because Classic.com says that the average selling price is $32,900. Our car hammered for $32,200. $32,250. It's sold on 26 bids. Again, I just think really well bought. To me, it seems like it's a buyer's market as we get deeper and deeper into the holidays and into sort of the new year, and everybody's sort of out to lunch. I feel like the people that are bringing their cars to market are desperate. I think the reserves are set realistically, or they're being pulled by the sellers to get these cars out of their property or out of their possession by the end of the year. And I just feel like another guy snapped up another good deal. To me, 32.2 for this car is, JP, that's a bargain. I mean, come on, man. What else could you get that would perform like that isn't a Corvette for that kind of money? You know what I mean?
Yeah, would you rather have this car or that 280Z that we just talked about for about the same money?
Good question.
Dave, partner, I got to disagree with you on this being necessarily a good. It is a good deal. It is it is a car that represents a fantastic value, but I don't think that this purchase price represents any kind of depression in the value of these. These just aren't strong. People don't know about them. People straight up don't like them. They're not a car that people think about. This is a car that was that when it was introduced at the wrong time in history. This car came out during the Great Recession, and these things were they were a stillbirth basically for BMW, and it really is a magnificent car that no one has ever really loved. The value of the Z3 M coupes continues to go up, but the Z4s that are a far superior car, especially with the S54 engine. I mean, look, with low miles like this car, could you imagine a 30-something thousand mile E46 coupe? How much would that have brought? $50,000-$60,000 with three pedals? I mean, this is
more than 60.
Right. I think it's a really good point you brought up by saying, what other bang for the buck could you get? A Corvette is a good example of a car that, probably offers similar performance but this car is going to handle way better than a Corvette. And it's going to just be, totally. Way more buttoned up. But I like what you're thinking there, because a lot of bang for the buck. They just don't bring the money. The cabrios on these, if you want a roadster, I mean, we're talking mid-teens for an S54 BMW with 5 speeds with low miles. So I think these are going to continue to be a good buy. And if you are looking for a somewhat modern sports car, that really, this represents kind of the other thing too, Deeb, is kind of like the end of the era of analog cars. There's no doodads in there.
Yeah.
There's no screens.
Right.
It's got analog brakes and some limited traction control stuff, but nothing crazy. This is just all analog car for this. There is no Porsche that you can get for this money that's going to be anywhere even remotely close to performance and reliability. You can get a 996 that's going to be about the same horsepower and probably handle as well, but you're always going to be scared about that darn IMS or bore scoring or something.
Right.
Whereas this car, you got nothing to worry about. I mean, even if the Vanos fails or the rod bearings are you're not talking about, cataclysmic failures that are going to cost you $35,000-$40,000 to fix. This car will go to 150,000 miles as long as you maintain it. They are great machines, and I see one in my future, man. Every time I go to look at buying another Porsche, I'm just like, screw it, I'm over it.
You sold one to me over this listing. I love this car. We've covered a couple of them before, JP. There was one that you said all these really nice things about that really woke me up to the car, that was red, that we covered, and I really liked the car. You never see them on the street. Like, where are they?
Yeah.
And as you say, they were stillborn. They were obviously not a commercial success. BMW did not put thousands of these into production in the United States, into service. And so, it is kind of fun to cover them. But JP, even at 32,250, when you were saying, what does Porsche make? The first car that came to mind was like that 40th anniversary of the 996 that has about 345 horsepower. I bet, performance wise, there you go. But even that car, if you found a 40th anniversary with 36,000 miles, it's going to cost 15 grand more than this, right?
Yeah, at least. And
at least 10.
It might blow
maybe?
up.
I don't know.
It might have,
Ask
could have an IMS failure or bore scoring.
Ask Anthony Vieira. Is he watching?
Yeah,
today?
I mean, he's got a beautiful car, and we don't want to scare Anthony. I'm sure his will be fine, but I'm sure yours will be fine. But it's just one of those things. I love the idea of getting something like this little BMW and just not having to freaking worry about it. I'm so sick about worrying about Porsches breaking, and not only is it ridiculously expensive to fix the damn things, but you gotta wait a year. Like, there's just every time your Porsche goes into a shop, it's just like, well, okay, I'll see you next spring, or I'll see you, my kid will be in college when I get my goddamn car back.
Can I get a loaner?
Yeah.
Can I get a loaner?
Or actually, your kid will be working at Starbucks because you can't afford to put him through college because you're spending all the money on fixing your stupid Porsche. All right, there it is. Enough disparaging Porsches. What do you guys think of the results of this little BMW? Boy, we talked about that a lot, but I sure do like them. All right, so it's time to get into the cars. It's Christmas season. We're going to make some predictions here. The big question tonight is the Christmas week really a good time of year to sell your classic or collector car? Is it a good time to get a deal on one? Let's talk about that right after the break. Stick around. We are just getting started. Hey guys, I gotta tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you gotta call our friend Steve at Godden, this guy. Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about, and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for. Godden Porsche of Las Vegas. Hey guys, you're probably looking at your watch and wondering if Bid Nerds will ever end. So you better talk to our friends at Our Smiths to make sure your Rolex, Tag Heuer, AP, or any fine timepiece is in tip-top shape. Our Smiths, fine Swiss repair. Fine Swiss Repair by Anthony at Our Smiths. Thank you, Anthony, for supporting the show. I am wearing an Aviara watch right now. We will be giving this watch away in the new year. I know I've been saying that for about a year now. Maybe by the time I get both of my Porsches back from the shop, we'll give this watch away, which could be years from now. Who the hell knows? All right, guys, the big question tonight is, is it ho, ho, uh-oh, ho, ho, hold your horses, don't try to sell your car during Christmas? Or is this a great time of year to try to sell your car because, the wives and kids are out shopping and all the guys are sitting around looking at their auctions. They're all at work. They're all kind of like, anybody that works like a normal job is pretty much on, I don't know, it's like short timer type thing. It's like when you're about to quit or retire or something like that. Everyone checked out last week. If you have to work Monday and Tuesday, you're probably just like phoning it in. All the meetings have been canceled. All the executives are off in their chalet somewhere. So if you're still stuck at the office, you're probably the guy that's like, all right, what's on BAT? Maybe I'll buy another car. Is that you? Let us know. Before we get to auctions, Deep, I actually wanted to bring something up because we're getting close to the end of the year, and we love doing this show. And you and I always talk off screen. We started out this particular episode a little bit of inside baseball, but we always talk about what we can do to improve the show. We're always trying to up our game when it comes to the technical look of the show, the sound of the show. We're always trying to tweak the format. We're always trying to do a little bit more to make the show better. Hopefully you guys notice some of this stuff. I don't know if you do. Maybe we're just spinning our wheels. Maybe we're making it worse. But I thought it makes sense at the end of the year as we come into 2025 to reach out to our, the handful of people that watch this show regularly, you guys in the Nerd Herd, we love you guys. What do you think we should do to make the show better? Why don't we have more subscribers? Why aren't there more people in the Nerd Herd? I'm not whining. I'm not complaining. I'm not like, why aren't there more people watching? I'm like, it's a real question, right? If you guys thought, hey, because I got to tell you, Deep, you look at the comments on our episodes when we're not live, right? Because I go back and I try to respond to everyone. We're a small enough channel right now where I can still pretty much respond to most of the comments. One of the most common comments we get is like, why isn't this channel bigger? I know I'm an asshole, and I know the most common response is going to be like, get rid of JP and it'll be great. But that's
what everybody in my family says. JP,
Really? They all hate me that much? I
trying to
thought
make-
they like me better.
No, as far as making the no, they love you.
Yeah, right.
Celeste is like, is that JP? Every time I look at my phone, she wants to know if I'm talking to JP. As far as making the show bigger, don't they sell a pill for that?
Sure. Yeah, that's what we did. That's what we need to do. We need a. It's probably a suppository, though. Unfortunately,
Doesn't
all
go
right,
in that
so
end.
I will leave that question with the nerd herd and let you guys. Maybe someone will throw us a DM or say in the comments what you think
Yeah.
to improve the show. But we are definitely always going to try to evolve the show. We have a lot more guests lined up for the beginning of the year too. We know that's always really popular. It's been to the end of the year, so we've kind of like let the pressure off as far as guests go. But we are really going to crank that up and have a lot of great people come back on the show as soon as the new year starts. So, all right, let's get to some predictions. Is Christmas week the week to sell a car or to buy a car? It's a great time of year if you are looking for a normal car. Like if you're a normie and you want a new Toyota Sienna or a Hyundai, whatever the hell they make, or a Ford pickup truck or something like that, literally between now and New Year's Day is the time to get your car. Like if you've been thinking about buying a new or slightly used pre-owned car, this is the time of year where you need to get to the dealership. They are the most negotiable that they'll be for the rest of the year.
Yeah, here's my advice after all these years in the car business. Go in, sit down after you've picked out your car, and with the salesperson, whatever you think you want to offer him $10,000 less, and then don't talk. And he's like, I can't. And just point. So take it to the desk. Go take it to the desk, take my offer to the desk, and get him out of there and make him go grind the sales manager on your behalf. But go in and offer 10 grand less than you think of and wait and see what happens. You never know.
It's absolutely true because people don't understand how the car business works. People think that every car is like, okay, they buy the car for X price and whatever over that is how they make their money. But dealerships get all kinds of money from the factory. Every time a dealership sells a brand new car, they not only make the profit of, the difference between what they bought it for and what they're selling it for, but the factory also holds money back for things like advertising and money towards their capital expenses like the building and billboards and all kinds of stuff. So most of that holdback and co-op money that dealerships get as compensation for selling cars is based on hitting quotas. It's cumulative, right? Yeah. So every month they go, okay, did you hit your quota? Boom. That's why the salesperson says, here, what will you, they'll ask you a bunch of questions and then they'll go talk to the manager. The manager isn't sitting there trying to decide whether or not they'll take your deal because on its face, what they're trying to do is figure out the matrix, go, okay, if we sell this Jetta, that means we only have to sell 10 more Jettas over the next 4 days. Once we hit that 10th Jetta, that means we're going to make $500 more for all 80 Jettas that we've sold all month, retroactively. Right. And so,
and sometimes for the quarter.
Correct. There's monthly, quarterly, and annual quotas that these dealerships are trying to make. So it is the end of the year for them. A single sale that might be a loss. If they have some pickup truck and they're like, fine, we'll give you $30,000 off of this $75,000 truck. They'll literally do it because it could literally mean hundreds of thousands of dollars of compensation for the dealership if it gets them over the bubble. Think of it like a Texas Hold'em tournament, right? The being bubble boy, right? There's the people that are in the money. If you're in that last 100 people, you actually get your tournament money back. Everyone, so no dealership wants to miss out on that money. Anyways, that's a little inside baseball when it comes to car business, but that doesn't really that doesn't have anything to do with individuals selling their cars on BAT or Cars and Bids. So looks like we lost Deeb. He dipped out here. So we're gonna get to the first car on the list tonight. Is an amazing here Deeb is back. Here he is. He accidentally clicked us out here. Is he back? There he is.
Okay, thanks guys. Sorry, I froze. And what's funny is I have a second computer, JP. On YouTube, you can still see me moving around, but my device was frozen, so I had to deal with it.
Let's move on.
Apologies for interrupting your rant.
I already showed them a picture of the mirror, so let's get to it. What's the first car?
All right, JP, we're going to dive right into this 2014 Pagani Huayra Tempesta as a premium listing and selected by our very own favorite, Randy Bloom. Didn't Randy send this to us, JP? No, it was Gerd. Gerd, I cheated. Gerd. Gerd sent us this the other night. So Gerd sent this to us. Yeah, it was Gerd sent us this and something else. So the Pagani Huayra Tempesta is a premium listing on Bring a Trailer. JP, we just covered Zach Miller's hypercar. And here comes another one out of Jupiter, Florida. This car is a 2014, but it got a 2018 Tempesta package retrofit. So it wasn't born a Tempesta, but in 2018, it got probably a very expensive, I'm guessing, six-figure makeover. The car now shows just 5,000 miles. John, it's still powered by a 6-liter Mercedes-AMG V12 that has twin turbos and dry sump lubrication. All that adds up to is like 730 horsepower and over 800 pound-foot of torque. Now, in 2014, a Pagani Huayra would have set you back about $2.2 million. I don't know what it would have cost to do the Tempesta makeover, but I'm guessing it was hundreds of thousands of dollars to come in and upgrade or level up your Pagani. Anyway, the car looks cool. If you're into hypercars, I know that this V12 sounds ungodly at full song, especially if you have like a racing exhaust and a closed circuit where you can floor it all the way to redline in second, third, and fourth gear where you're probably doing $140. This sounds like a damn race car. They are amazing. And inside they look like jewelry. But, you know, us lay people, hypercars are a tough sell. I don't even dream about this car at night. So, you know, it's not that it doesn't move the needle. I think it's really cool. I just don't believe there's one in my future. And if I could afford one, it still might not be on my short list. So, JP, I send it back to you. A Pagani Huayra that's been leveled up to Tempesta specification on Bring a Trailer this close to Christmas. So, you know, does it stand a chance, or does he got a firm grip on it going into the new year?
That's a good question. This car is beautiful. It is definitely the epitome of hypercar. When you see one of these in real life, it's interesting. Look at all these grills on the back of this thing, this honeycomb and all these carbon fiber pieces. You see modern cars so often, specifically things like Dodge Chargers or Ford Mustangs or even Corvettes to a certain extent. You know, they'll have the same kind of mesh in the grill or whatever, or they'll have a bunch of weird radiuses. And then when you look closely at those individual details, you realize that the mesh doesn't go anywhere. It's just aesthetic. You know, or you notice that instead of each piece being its own piece, it's actually one big, huge piece of molded plastic. This car is not that. Each one of these lines, you know, like the Pagani, look at this. Can I zoom in on this? This Pagani plate here, right? This aluminum or titanium, whatever this little piece is, it's somebody made this piece. It was milled out, and it's got a bolt on either end, and then you've got this whole other piece here. If this were a Chrysler, or even sometimes I hate to say it, a Porsche, it would all be one piece. The Pagani would be stamped into the same piece of plastic, and it would have a fake bolt on either end, but they wouldn't actually be, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different actual individual elements. You've got another piece up here. Look at the details on these cars are what make them amazing. You've got this leather strap. You've got this little piece of aluminum and a bolt holding down that leather strap in this little divot in these radiuses around the gas cap. All of these things are individual pieces. Again, if it were on a lesser car, it would all look like that's what it was, but it wouldn't actually be that. It would just be fake. And that's what I love about Paganis. I'm with you, Deeb. I don't really dream about them. It's not something that I would ever even consider buying, even if I hit the big lotto or something like that. But I do really appreciate the attention to detail on these things. When you see one in real life, you really can spend time kind of just getting in there with a magnifying glass and just see all the work that goes into making one of these damn things. And then you realize, oh, that's why it's a $2 million car. Maybe the performance is amazing of them. But you got to wonder, even at a couple $1 million, are they making any money? Because that's a lot of work to make something like this.
Oh my God. That's why they need 800 pound-foot of torque to move all those parts down the road. But yeah, JP, when you examine the details and you spend the time to appreciate the fabrication, the design, and the execution, to put these things together and drink it all in, it is amazing and it's mesmerizing. And John, it's equally as stunning on the interior as well. It's like, I mean, just, it's fascinating. It looks like jewelry to me. It's just unbelievable. I mean, especially, you and I are both huge fans of watches. And if you are into this kind of instrumentation, somebody like Anthony Vieira, how do you not look at that and just go, "Hot damn!" Like, it's a lot. It's
right,
just,
and none of this is
overwhelming,
plastic.
but it's stunning. No,
yeah, if
all
this
those
were
things are
a
weighted.
Stellantis
They're all
vehicle,
metal.
yeah, this is all like milled and forged and carbon fiber, and even the pattern on the carbon fiber lines up. Like all the V's and the like. I think even someone mentioned that. This is when someone says bespoke, this is what they actually mean. It drives me nuts when people describe their car or whatever it is as bespoke, and then you see it, it's like, no, it's wannabe bespoke. It's faux bespoke, faux spoke, if you will. This is truly a piece of art, and if you want something like this, you're gonna have to pay for it. Big question is, how much? And is this the best time of year to try and get something like this? Because we think that everyone's going to be paying attention to Christmas and not hypercars on the auction site. What's this thing going to bring, Deep?
All right, JP. So according to our friends at classic.com, the average selling price of a 2014 Pagani Huayra is around $2.7 million. Our car is currently sitting at $2,261,261. As a premium listing, it has run for at least 10 days, maybe closer to 14. I really wasn't following this 2 weeks ago when it first came up, but the car does close tomorrow. It's already at 2.2, almost 2.3 million bucks. That came to us by way of 10 bids. John, I have every reason to believe it'll achieve the average selling price of $2.7 million, which is sort of what I think somebody has invested in this car. If we just assume for a minute that the guy who bought it new is also the one that took it back in and did the Tempesta overhaul back in 2018. So to me, it's like you could still get your money out of the car despite having 5,000 miles on it, which again is ridiculously low for a 2014 model year, but sounds ludicrously high on a Pagani. So I don't know what to make of this, JP. I'm just going to go 2.7 and say that if it gets there, it sells because the guy gets his money out of it. But who knows? Maybe it's worth 3 or more. I'm probably the wrong guy to ask, even though we have this show called Bid Nerds and we've been doing it for like 4 years. So JP, blind guess, blindfold on, salami toss to the wall, 2.7. Where are you at? Over or under that ludicrous bid?
Yeah, I think this car is going to do well. Seeing how well that Rimac did, it makes me wonder if this car should have been on SOMO, because that site really seems to be the one that's bringing the big money for big money cars. And it looks like that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. I got Zach Miller online too. He said, call him right now. Call him.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's like, SOMO is the site, and I've said it last time, they don't want me around. That site is not for me. They want to kind of get rid of the riffraff. And let's face it, BAT is all about riffraff. There would be no BAT if it weren't for the riffraff. The comment section in BAT is why BAT gets so much traffic. And that works for, 911s and all kinds of cars that are in that 100, 200 or under $100,000. When you start talking about $1 million cars, the people that are interested in this, the people that Buddha does not want to hang out with, they do not want to hang out with riffraff like us. So I think it's on the wrong platform. You say 2.7 million. I'm going to go under and go 2.5 because of that. I think if this were on SOMO, I would bid 3 million. I really would. I think it's that big a difference, but I think it's. I do think even at that number, it's going to sell. I think the person wants to sell it if they're trying to sell it this time of year.
$500,000 platform to platform. I imagine you would endorse this thought that if it were going to Sotheby's, it would need better assets.
Yes, I was actually going to bring that up, but I felt like we were going long. The photos for a $2 million car.
Is that what we do?
Are just are just awful. I mean, I kind of like this one shot where you've got some flare, but it has no bokeh. I mean, this is garbage. This is straight up garbage for a car that might be one of the most beautiful cars ever made. So do better, guys, and that would also bring more money.
Gert, I'm surprised you went under me because Gert is at $2.85 million, and I owe Gert a public apology. Gert did not select this car for us. Gert sent JP and I a Vet and a Rover, and I didn't pick the cars tonight because I was all caught up. JP, thank you for slapping some cars together for us. And Gert, I did not mean to use your name incorrectly. So there we go, JP. We can finally move on.
All right, let's move on. What's the next car on the list? And will it be a good time of year to sell this thing? What's the next one?
JP, this guy's got an uphill climb as far as I'm concerned. What we're talking about on PCAR Market is a 1966 Porsche 906 Replica with a 2.7 liter case, a built motor, and a 5-speed manual. The car looks like an authentic 906 from the outside. The shape and the proportions to me look exactly correct, which is really cool. And the idea that you could get a car for this, like this, for, I'm guessing, under $250,000, because let's face it, JP, the handful of authentic 906s that Porsche built as race cars, both for the works team and for customers back in 1966 and in 1967, on the average, they sell for $2 million. So to have this like lowly little replica running around, I think it's a really cool car. Probably super uncomfortable. That little greenhouse wouldn't play in the summertime in Las Vegas, and I'm sure this thing doesn't have AC. So there's probably a very limited number of regions where you could actually go out and enjoy this car without cooking yourself to death. But man, for a fraction, a tenth of the price of a real one, to be able to have a fake one with a real Porsche drivetrain that everybody who looked at would just assume is real is a pretty cool thing to bring to market. JP, this car was recently on Bring a Trailer, and I'm going to pull that up right now. I thought I had it, but I guess I accidentally erased it. And what we're talking about, JP, is basically the car is out of Cummins, Georgia. It ran on BAT back in just earlier this month and FTS. And so now the car comes to market on PCAR Market. JP, 150 grand. It was 15 bids and an FTS. So 150 didn't get it done. My guess is they're looking for substantially more than that. But now it's on PCAR Market and it closes. It's got 4 days before it closes. So this is going to be a post-Christmas hammer. Talk to me about why you selected the car. What do you see as somebody that's owned a bunch of like Volkswagen drivetrain, Becks and things like that, 356s and a bunch of really cool speedster cars that I've known you to have. What do you see when you look at this? Because this is not a Beck 904. This is a 906. I mean, this is even more hardcore than that. Where are you at?
Yeah, I mean, I did pick it because it does close the day after Christmas. And I'm just wondering what everyone's thought on that is. I think if you have a shot at doing well this week, I think it's Monday or even Christmas Eve, Tuesday, if people are still at work. I think Christmas Day, people are out doing Christmas stuff. No one's going back to work the day after Christmas. And I guess maybe unless you're snowed in somewhere. But if you're snowed in somewhere, are you bidding on a car that you're not going to be able to drive till for 4 or 5 months from now? It just seems like that gap between Christmas and New Year's is going to be tough. And I do like the car. I do think it's neat, but I would rather have a 904. I think the 904 is more usable. I don't know. I guess that's a ridiculous thing to say. Neither one of them are particularly usable. But I think it's a better looking car. I think this is pretty cool. But the 904 I just love the way the 904 looks. But that's just opinion. A 2.7 is a great powertrain for something like this that probably weighs what? 1,500 pounds. It's got to be an absolute blast to drive, but pretty terrifying. What's this thing going to bring the day after Christmas?
Oh man, boy, JP, talk about a guess. So again, it just failed to sell on the largest auction platform in the world at 150 grand. And now it comes back to PCAR Market. It's got a couple days until it closes, but in those couple of days, you're going to have Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. This car has such a narrow appeal. I think a lot of people love looking at it, but there are only a handful of people that would actually want to buy something like this, and it's not even the real one. It's a fake. So JP, it's at 4 bids, $42,000 with basically 4 days to go until it closes. I just got really cute with my bid. The big thing here is that I'm telling you, it's not going to sell. I believe this car will FTS because I think it's going to take more than 150 to get it. And I don't think it's going to do better than it did on BAT. So my bid to you, JP, is going to be $90,600, 90600. So where are you at, JP? And again, if it were real, it's a $2 million conversation, but this one ain't real. This is, this is a hand job.
Yeah, I mean, someone's looking for a Christmas miracle. You at $150,000, you got it, dude. Jesus came down from the heavens and said, "You must have been on the nice list. Here's $150,000 for a car that isn't worth $150,000." Look, the 904, that Beck 904 that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, with a gosh darn GT3 engine.
Metzger
GT3 only brought 130 or something. I mean, dude, that was a way better kit car. Everything about that build was just insane. This car, I mean, I like a 2.7, it's a flat 6, but this thing's, I mean, you're out of your mind. You didn't take the 150 and you think you're going to get more on BAT? I mean, the only realistic situation here is the guy met Jesus and he came to him and said, "All right, fine, I'll try it again. Let's, what were you thinking? I blessed you." And maybe, he says, "Okay, fine, and he's like, "I'll take 130 or I'll take 140. I totally screwed up." Repent and take the 120, dude. I don't think it's even going to get there. I'm with you. I think this thing's DOA. No one's going to spend $150,000, and everyone is going to expect that that's what the guy wants for it. Maybe it realistically has a chance in the deal tank when it fails to sell. Your number was what?
90,600, and I think it winds up in the deal tank closer to 200 than 150.
Yeah. That's a tough. Is it going to be over 90,000? No, it's not. I'm going to go 85,906 and say it doesn't even get there because I think you're right. I think it's in the deal tank for. The question is whether or not it's in the deal tank for 150 again, or 200. Does this guy really think this thing's worth $200,000?
I think he does.
No
way.
Christmas miracle, that ain't happening. I think the Grinch is on his way. All right, let us know what you guys think this little replica will bring, and let's move on. We got another car to talk about. What's next?
JP, I think you picked one of the coolest cars we've never covered.
Yeah.
And that is a 1991 BMW M3 convertible. Look at that. Damn, an E30 Cabriolet. John, I don't even know how many times I've ever seen one of these in person, and I have gone to car events for 40 years with my father and with you. Like, this is like insane. What a cool car. Out of Coral Gables, Florida, JP, this is a European-only market car that has been brought to the United States. It has received BMW Classic Certificate, and it is on a clean Florida title in the owner's name. The car shows 80,000 kilometers, which is approximately $50,000. And what you get, JP, is that high revving, high strung, high intensity 2.3 liter S14 inline 4. It's got a 5-speed manual. I believe it's a dogleg, JP. And a get-drag transmission. It's a fantastic gearbox and a limited slip differential. The only thing you're giving up with regards to the roof is you say goodbye to that fixed tall rear wing. But man, from every angle, GP, this is a really cool looking car. And we've never done one of these, and it's just this thing's pretty dope. Kind of missed me with the gray interior, but if it's the only one available, I'd learn to love it. Super cool car, JP. Looks to be in very nice condition. It is worth mentioning, John, that this car is an alumni listing because it sold on BAT last month in November of 2024 for $105,000, and the people did not perform. They said it was no fault of the seller or the car, but due to extenuating circumstances, and I'm reading this from BAT, the car has to be relisted, and that the guy who allegedly won it last time has now been banned from the site. So that guy didn't perform. The car comes back to market, less than a month later with the exact same assets. JP, it brings up a very interesting conundrum. Would you rather resell your car immediately, a second run, which I kind of think is the kiss of death? I don't think you're going to get 105 grand for the car a second time a month later on the same BAT platform, or move it over to PCAR Market, where we have seen some people do better on good listings. And by all accounts, JP, this is a fair to very good listing, and it's a rare car that I would think is pretty desirable. So as I send it back to you, JP, talk to me about your musings on the ultimate convertible E30 M3, and then as I propose it, would you go back to BAT, or would you take your ball and go down to the lower yard and hang out with the guys at PCAR Market in Oyster Bay? What do you think, John?
Well, first thing I'm looking at is it me, guys, or is that grill, is the kidney crooked, the one on the left? That's just really freaking me out, and it's one of those little details that drives me nuts. And that's an easy fix. I think before you try to sell something like this, you would take care of that first. But that said, it is a beautiful car, and if I saw this on the street, I would just assume it was one of the many fake ones that are going around. They did make these, but they were only in Europe, and you never see them in America. Maybe I've seen one, but I don't recall ever seeing one that was a real one. All of them that I've seen, I've never popped the hood to check to see if it has the correct engine. It's funny, I used to have a black on black E30 318 of the same era, the same year. So it was a really cool car. And honestly, a lot like this little 4-cylinder, right? It was a lot of fun. I gave that car, I literally gave it to Lauren Halliston. Some of you guys may know Lauren Halliston from Lauren in HD. He has a great YouTube channel. He's a great creator. He's been doing he still has the car. I think he calls it Oil Slick, because he immediately got it from me and slammed it so low that he just kept blowing the oil pan off of it.
Sounds like something Rami would do.
Right. Yeah. I mean, well, yeah, Rami wouldn't slam it like Lauren slams cars, but shout out to Lauren out there. Great guy. I miss this car, and this is definitely something that would be on a list of really cool cars to have in the collection, like apparently someone does. If you look at some of these cars in the background here, because this is just not something that you're going to see around, and E30s are fantastic. Yes, okay, I'm not going to get into the whole cab versus coupe conversation like we do sometimes, but I do think, I'll be the first to admit that coupes are generally better than cabs when it comes to performance, and I understand they're almost always worth more, but this is one of the few cars where the performance is definitely going to be noticeably less because of that open shoebox thing without the coupe top, but this is absolutely one of the cars where it just wouldn't matter, because E30 convertibles are fantastic with a manual. They are just great cars to drive around because they already have fairly low doors, and so you kind of get that aquarium kind of feeling on them. So they just really have a great go-kart feel to them. I loved my E30 convertible and would love to have something as special as this. But is now the time of year to sell it? And like you said, Deeb, having just had a fail to sell, I don't agree that PCAR Market makes sense for this car. If it were a Porsche, I would agree with you. I would say, okay, yeah, maybe take it to the other platform because you're just going to get mostly the Porsche people over there. But this car, I think people are going to give it a fair shot, given that it failed because it didn't fail to sell. It failed to close. Someone finked, and I think people are pretty forgiving in that regard. So what's the number? What's it going to bring?
Ah, man, JP, that's a good take. JP, I want to just go back to something you were saying about if we saw one in the States, I would also think it was fake because the European ones are rare. This is one of 785 European market convertibles that was built. Period. I mean, really, it's a very rare car and super cool. John, it sold for $105,000, and that happened by way of 25 bids. Our car is currently listed at $75,000, and it closes in 2 days, essentially on Christmas Eve, right? And it's right now it's on 10 bids. John, so here's what I'm going to give you. I think, according to Classic.com, a 91 E30 cab is on average $119,800. If this thing didn't already sell for 105, I would have thought this car would come really close to 120. So it'll be interesting to see if a second run just brings more people to the show. But it's such a tough time at Christmas. I'm not going to bet on that. So JP at 105 last time, I'm going to say it gets to 99,000 this time. And I believe at $99,000 it will sell. So there you go. So 99,000 to you, JP. I don't think it does better second time around, but I do think even if you get it from my number or at a 105, I think it's well built or well bought. I think this is $125,000 car with better assets on a better platform in the spring, or the summer when people are really looking for this kind of car. I do think it's a good car, and go fix the grill for damn sake. But 99 to you, JP, and it'll sell for my number. Is it going to sell for yours? What's yours? What's your number?
I mean, the fact that they already accepted the 105 and it didn't sell, makes you go, well, is this car really worth $120,000? I'm definitely with you. This is the wrong time of year to do it. I think if there were any reason to wait, it wouldn't be that I wouldn't be so worried that you're not going to make the 105 again. I'd be more worried that the car's just worth more, and you should wait till spring, like you just said. I don't think what the platform really matters, although someone in the comments did mention, does this thing belong on Sotheby's? And I think that's a really good take. This car may not be a hypercar, but it is a very rare car, and it is a car that would get a lot of attention on a site like that has way fewer cars. I think one of the problems with this car being on Bring a Trailer is, like I said when I first saw the cars, I would automatically assume that this is a fake. And when you're scanning through the listings on BAT, the hundreds of listing on any given day, I don't know if I would really take a second look at this thing. I would just see the image, go, okay, cool. That looks like a cool fake M3 cab, whatever, moving on. It would mean you'd really have to pay attention to notice that, oh, wait, no, that's an actual real one that someone brought in from Europe. So I think this is an undervalued car. Even if it does make the 105, I'm with you, Debo. I think it's worth significantly more. Wait or put it on a different platform all across the board. Your number was what, 99?
99. I'm at 99, and I think it sells for that because it's so close.
Your bidding's on point. It's tough to beat. It's tough to go against.
Peter,
that. Do I go over? Huh?
Peter George is at 90, and he thinks it fails to sell at that, and that's interesting. That's because it's just a little bit below me, but it might not sell for his. But if it gets up to 99 or close to 100, I think he takes it. He took 105. He's got to take 99.
It's Christmas Eve when this thing sells. I'm going for a Christmas miracle. I say it makes the money again. I say it gets to 103. And the reserve is 105, and BAT makes up the difference, just like Baby Jesus would. That's my take.
What happened to curmudgeon JP that won all three from last show? Now he's praying for Christmas miracles. I don't even know you anymore.
The guy should have taken some new pictures with Santa driving or Jesus.
Should have fixed the grill.
Fix the damn grill. That's what he really should have done. He would have got the extra $20,000. All right, we still got another car. What do we got? Let's try to do one more quick for Christmas.
We have time? Okay, all right.
Real fast.
JP, there is a 2011 Porsche 911 Carrera GTS with a 6-speed manual. This is a rear-wheel drive GTS coupe, and it's a 997.2. The car has 40,000 miles on it. It's listed out of Santa Monica, California, and it's on Bring a Trailer. JP, these cars, rear-wheel drive coupes with a manual in the GTS 7.2, have been doing really well. Our car closes in 2 days, and it's at $92,500. JP, I think this car has every reason to believe that it's going to make it up to about, like, a lot of comps this year have sold for $130,000. I think
go
this
ahead
car
and give me your number.
Going in $128,997, and I think it sells.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, it's this car. They talk about unicorns, but I think it's as rare as Rudolph, man. Rudolph is the only one with the red nose. It's going to bring the money. I'm going. What was your number? 130.
128,997.
I'm going 130. I'm going over. I think these cars are so sought after. This is the kind of car that people have. You can't get a GT3 for this money. That's what you used to be able to get a GT3 for, no problem. GT3s are now in the 997 variants, especially .2. You're talking $200,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I think $130,000 is pretty easy for this car because it does have fairly. What were the miles? Yeah, 40,000 miles.
40,000 miles, 6-speed manual.
Yeah.
Center lock wheels, 410 horsepower. It's basically a poor man's 996 GT3.
Yep. And if you're out there in the nerd herd and you're going, what do I get JP for Christmas? Well, there it is. That's what we're waiting for.
Lump of coal.
I don't think I'm high enough on the nice list to get one of those in my stocking, but hey, I can, one can hope. I'll write a bunch of letters. All right, guys, Merry Christmas to the nerd herd. Thank you guys for being part of the show.
See you next Sunday, right? That's when we do it again?
Yeah, a week from today. We are not going to do a show Christmas night, so we will see you a week from tonight, and I hope you guys have a great holiday and a great Christmas, and we really do love you guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with us live tonight. We will see you on Sunday, and we'll take it out with a 914 drop. How's that?
Go, 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 go.